So we have this 40-year-old sailboat. It's an Islander Freeport 41 Catch, ocean-going boat. It's 40 years old. We bought it in San Diego in 1976 and trucked it here to the Detroit, southeast Michigan area, where we've been sailing it around the Great Lakes. But it's getting pretty old. It's had a lot of leaks, and so we've been going through a refit. This past winter, we had part of the deck recored and painted, had to take everything off the deck, including the cap rails. And so this summer, our job has been to fabricate new cap rails to put on the boat so that it looks a bit more presentable, something like this. So, this is a short little video about the fabrication of starboard cap rail number 7 from recycled plastic lumber from Plasteak. In the background here you see the finished boards that are all ready for installation. We've tried to speed this up a little bit, maybe a little too fast. But the first step is to take some plastic acetate to the boat and trace the outline of the cap rail location, and then by carbon paper copy it onto these 9.5 by 1.5 by 12 foot pieces of lumber. This one's been cut down to about 6 foot 8 inches. Getting the dimensional stability of the acetate transparency and getting it accurately onto the board is a difficult task. I have wasted a number of pieces of lumber trying to get this right. So here we're taking a great deal of time to measure and tape and get the dimensions just right. So I'm trying to line up the existing aft boards with the turn at this one, see if I can get it right. It's been difficult. This is the second time I have made this board, and if I count the turn at the aft, it's the third piece that I've used to try to get this piece to fit right. But then we can cut it out with a saber saw. This is not the only way to do it. I've tried cutting it out with a router, but the router keeps screwing up, or at least I keep screwing up with the router and can't get it straight. Except it's really hard for me to get the saber saw to follow the curved line that I've traced with the tape and all, and so you end up with this really rough edge. And so the only solution is to cut it wide and then to sand it down. This seems to work pretty good, rather than trying to create a curve with flexible lumber and clamps and then using a router. But when you get the one side all smoothed out like you see I've got here and cleaned up a little bit, then I can take that board down, do some measurements, and then take a router and start cutting the far edge of it. So the boards, when we get done, are 4 7/8 inches wide, and then the grooves down the middle are 5/8 inches deep and about 2 3/4 inches wide, leaving us about a 1-inch perimeter. Still have to sand even the routed edges and get the curves right, and then when we clean it up we can then take the edges and we quarter round route the edges, and after that we flame the edges. You see here, you can't sand this stuff and get a smooth finish, so we end up flaming it to kind of darken that white sanded edge, and that gives us a finished board that we're then ready to take to the boat and fit. We have to cut the two ends to match the other boards on the boat, and then we can drill some holes and install it.